You wanted to talk about, what was it now? LGBTI.
Oh God, you said different whole and then went to LGBTQIA. Oh my God.
Was that not funny?
Well, let's get technical.
Was that wrong? I'm sorry.
Let's get technical.
So what's the I? Because you said the I is now part
Please
of it.
Google it.
Okay.
It's I googled it before we started the podcast, so it's
All right, go for
intersex,
it.
which
I
I honestly
actually
don't
want to understand everything.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't understand.
What's the whole
LGBTQIA plus minus.
Is this okay? Here we go. Yep, right here. Wow, what does LGBTQIA plus stand for? Ooh, that's low key. What does LGBTQIA stand for?
Yeah, it's got a bit of a cadence to it.
What does LGBTQIA stand for?
Okay, boom. I got the beat.
Okay.
You know the song? You cool like that? You down like that?
Go.
You down like that? It has the pianos going doom 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 LGBTQIA, LGBTQIA plus.
What does LGBTQI
Lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer, intersectional, and asexual.
plus?
So how
Whatever
does
the hell we
That
add.
was fine. I enjoyed that.
how does queer?
Queer should be. They should put the queer on top of the letters.
That's what I'm saying. You can sum everything with queer, and that would be.
That's what I thought. That's why when
one
you
terminology.
It should be Q LGBTIA.
Well, when you first mentioned this before we started, like when you said I and Docs looked it up, it says intersectional. I was like, isn't that part of Q?
So the
I genuinely don't know.
Q stands for question. Let's go through it in order.
Yeah.
All right, so what?
Lesbians is L.
Obviously.
We know what those are.
G is gay.
Gay. B
Well,
is
bi.
so since we're obviously going to talk about controversial topic, let me at least have some
I have a
controversial
question.
questions, I guess, if this is even controversial.
Go.
So, is there a differentiation between gays and lesbian? Like, is gay specifically for the guys? Like, aren't...
Yeah.
It's just to be specific, I think. Yeah.
Wait, no, I have a quick. See, okay. Is Bruce Jenner a lesbian?
I don't know. Does he still like...
Woman.
women?
Yes.
Well,
Or
Did he change from a straight man to a lesbian?
Does Caitlyn
yeah. Then
still
yeah,
like women?
she's a lesbian.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait. Is Bruce Jenner transgender and still sleeping with women?
Yes.
I don't know. Oh.
Then,
I
yeah,
don't
lesbian.
know. Okay.
Well,
But if Caitlyn Jenner...
But if she ever
was
throws
sleeping
in,
with men,
if she ever throws in a dude
hetero?
in there, then she's now bi.
yeah, but so she
She goes under the B.
But what if she just sleeps
Okay.
with men? Then she's straight.
Then she's under the T.
I mean, she's under the T
transgender.
regardless, though.
Yeah, but it doesn't go a level down because she's technically straight T. So she
We haven't even
doesn't-
finished the
I think-
alphabet yet.
'cause
We
you
got
can
stuck
get more
at
than
G.
one-
Come on, let's get through
but
this.
So now, wait. We have to add this though. Keep in mind, you can be more than one letter.
Yeah.
Because Caitlyn Jenner would be T regardless, but technically she would be an LT. LaDainian Tomlinson.
What?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So G is gay, B is bi, T is trans, Q is for queer, I is intersex, A is asexual, and I have no idea what the plus symbol's for.
I'm gonna look up intersectional real quick. Because I'm like
no,
confused.
you're gonna get a fucking yeah.
Okay, so how should I look this up? then?
No,
Intersex.
sex, not sectional, because you're gonna get an intersection.
Sec.
Yeah.
I don't.
What is intersex? That one right there.
Intersex.
First stop,
It's not
bro.
intersexual.
Okay.
First search. There you go.
Thank you, sir. Guide me through this. Intersex is a general term used for a variety of situations in which a person is born with reproductive or sexual anatomy that doesn't fit the boxes of female or male.
Yeah, then these would be hermaphrodites.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
See, okay, so yeah, okay. I guess this one just makes sense.
I just, God, is this gonna be wrong of me? I just feel like it's a small group of people who just want a
Representation?
yes,
It's like, hey, what about me? I want a letter on there.
but with
That flag. All the primary colors aren't taken up.
I guess my question, and why do we have to call this intersex? Like, I mean, now that I read it, I guess it makes sense for them specifically, but why do we have to change everyone else's definition?
No, but-
I'm not saying that they want to change
What do
it,
we?
but
What I think what was with to this specific intersex one, I would say I'm fine with it because obviously I'm not. It's not my real position too, but hermaphrodite was the only thing I knew them as before, so it's not like I knew them as anything really that I was stuck to. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a lesbian telling me to not call them lesbians anymore and call them something else. Whereas I feel like when I hear intersex, it's me learning about the actual term or the scientific term for them.
Yeah, this one actually, I agree with that too, John. It's a very natural thing that does happen. It is like less than what, like 0.1% or something like that. Like, because most of the race is either male or female. Yeah, look that up. 1 in 1,000 babies are born intersex.
I ain't gonna lie, that's a little scary.
That's actually more than I thought it was. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Scary, boy, because it's millions.
Yeah.
And billions.
Billions. Yeah. All right, let's get out of this and go to, what was it? A for asexual.
Asexual.
Yeah, asexual. I don't understand how you can do that one.
All right,
That one doesn't make sense.
Oh, I
Humans
read
are
that one.
asexual.
This one's funny.
Yeah. So.
A lack of sexual attraction to others. What?
Or low
Like-
or absent interest in or desire for sexual activity.
Mhm.
Is it?
I
That
think,
sounds.
I think asexuality.
I'm scared to say anything, bro. I'm not trying to be mean here.
Well, I'm gonna be dead ass on you. Asexuality sounds like.
It sounds like they're depressed.
No, but it sounds like a symptom of a rape victim, of a not a symptom, but a characteristic of a rape victim. Somebody who's hurt, somebody who's like been
Intense trauma,
but via sex.
Okay.
So they're desensitized
Detachment?
to they have a detachment to actual.
I don't even know if you have to
sexual
state this though. Like that's the weird.
That's
thing
what I'm
to me.
saying.
Like,
That's I don't
like
think
you have
this
to
is
identify
a
as this?
community.
Like,
Yeah, that's what's weird.
like technically, are priests asexual? Like, do they walk around saying I'm
100%,
asexual?
right?
Like,
No, they walk around saying they're pedophiles.
yeah, I know, but technically they
I know,
should
I
be the
know.
ones who first promote
Would
saying
identify as
asexuality.
asexuality because they're all about abstinence. Yeah, I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying.
And so, I mean, I've definitely met
Ruining
people
my
who,
damn joke.
who kind of treat sex with a sense of bitterness, and they're just like, "No, I'm asexual. Like, I just don't care." And I'm like, "Cool. Like, I don't know if you have to state it and just kind of pull clout towards the situation of it." And
Is this their flag right here? Is that supposed to be
I don't know.
or their colors?
It's also really confusing if you go like into a science class and you learn what asexual is, and then you learn
Yeah,
this, and you're
I
just
know.
like, this is completely different.
That's why I heard this. I was
can't
like, this,
reproduce by budding.
no, exactly. That's why I looked it up. Like, what do they mean by asexual? Because how do they reproduce with themselves? Because that's what asexual scientifically means. Like, it's
Yeah, like you're just not sexually active. Like that's fine. Like you can choose to live that life, and nobody should stop you.
Could somebody technically say that their newborn child was asexual and withhold picking the gender until?
I mean, if you want to get into semantics, then yes, and that's kind of the thing with this, and I'm like falling victim to it too, where I'm going into the semantics of it. But it's also like it's the same like lesbian and gay. If should we call girls gay? Like even if they like other women, technically they're lesbians. Like you can run around this stuff all day, and
You know what I'm saying? But couldn't you stop yourself from like you could get away with not picking a gender for your kid not you could get away with your kid being genderless.
yeah, but that's also the argument of why people choose to say non-binary, because they don't want to be genderfied. They want to be genderless, which I have issues with to an extent. Like I have no problem with people, having gay relations or even wanting like a husband or a wife, like when they're the same sex. I don't care if they choose to be one gender or the other, and I'm even actually like yeah, intersex actually makes sense because that is a general natural anomaly that happens. The issue is when
apparently 1 in 1,000. That's crazy.
yeah, like to me the issue falls when the person decides to jump out of the binary themselves and define themselves as non-binary. Because it's like, you were born one way or the other. If you're gay, like you're gay, like okay. But you were born one way, and if you choose to be other, that makes sense. But to jump out completely of it is kind of an issue. And this is actually something I've gotten into with myself, because with the whole Latinx thing, like I know it's my own race, and they're saying like we're trying to be inclusive with the Latinx, but that's a completely American-made concept. Like other Latin speaking or Spanish speaking countries, like they haven't really adopted Latinx yet. That's just something that's coming out of like California and like the new wave of transgenderism in the United States and non-binaryism. It's really confusing though because the entire language is written in binary, and so it's understandable to change the way you speak to somebody who's decided to be one gender or the other, because you're just like, okay, cool, I'm just going to change my vowels because you've now decided to be a woman and I can do that. So I'll just start using the A form. But when you're like, no, I'm non-binary and I want to be addressed as such, and it's just like, you can't do that. Like just because the entire system isn't built for that, and it it's weird because it's like Latinx, but because in the United States it's being taught as the inclusive thing to do, which is like a big thing about the US, where everybody wants to be inclusive, it's oddly, in my opinion, offensive to the majority. Because the majority of people aren't hermaphroditic. They're one or the other, you know what I mean? And so if you want to empower women, then yeah, use the A form a lot more. Like that's totally fine. It's not trying to be like a patriarch of oppression or anything like that. It has been, and like it's okay to change that. I just think it's really weird when you're deciding to break the system all of a sudden. Like if somebody comes up to me and they're like, "Hey, I know you're Latinx and stuff like that," I'm like, "Dude, like just call me Latino. Like I'm clearly one form of it." Like, and I don't like that it's teaching other races that it's okay to say Latinx to people because they think it's the proper thing to do because they think it's inclusive. When in fact, the most inclusive way is the majority, which is the A and the O form, which is the male and female versions. And so my other issue with it is that there's like a huge hypocrisy in the whole thing because it's like, why are we trying to be more inclusive to a group that's deliberately becoming exclusive? Like,
No, like I agree with you, but like my problem with it is it's become like you said, if you want to argue semantics. But my problem is everything has become semantics as far as when it comes to the conversation with the community. So you can't say certain things, and you have to navigate certain ways as to not offend. But the truth lies in some of those offenses.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't technically use them. That's semantics. So it's like, for example, this whole conversation kind of starts with the problem of gender identification. But if we actually called it sex, then scientifically speaking, there shouldn't be an argument because
Mm-hmm.
there's only two sexes.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? But gender is, I guess, a classification of the sex. But there's only two sexes.
I guess so. I guess this is
But
my
that is semantics as well. So like the whole thing is the whole conversation is based off semantics, which is my problem. So like don't don't you don't get to force and put this thing on the majority when we're actually just talking about semantics. We're not talking about as far as uh equality and all that stuff. That applies to every citizen. You know what I'm saying? So if there's a demographic that feels oppressed to it, yes, we understand. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about representation. We're talking about the way that they maneuver publicly. We're talking about how media portrays the demographic. And because you're not able to actually speak on the negatives of the demographic, you cannot, there's just no, they get to do these things. We get to have those interactions we had at the Magic Store. They get to be more emboldened to do these things, and it's because it's all semantics. Where rather sex is biologically what your body does. Will you, as a woman, do you have the gear to reproduce? Were you made with the gear to reproduce? So now you only have really three options: male, female, and intersex. But
Well, I
we
don't
love
know
the
if
word
intersex
gender.
applies because it's still.
I
That
mean, because
bangs
it's still
down the fact that
hermaphroditic.
Can you
But can you?
reproduce
It's
that
exactly. So
still,
you still
and
be
I don't
under
understand
one.
the nuances of being hermaphrodite. So
But you're absolutely correct. I don't either. But regardless, so now technically we're speaking. If we're just like, hey, well, what's your gender? Well, I'm a guy. Well, I'm a girl. Well, what's your sex? I'm a guy.
no, there's a scene
What?
from that one show you watch all the time.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
No. We've done this before. So, can't remember the name again. The drunk father with all the kids living in the house. Shameless. So I'm talking about Shameless. And there's a scene.
Yeah, that boy had the HIV.
I don't know if I can find it, where he is introduced to a new bunch of people, and they actually say a bunch of their identifications, and it was a long scene.
A long
just
ass
going
scene.
through each.
And he got up and left.
No,
Did he
sat
stay?
down. No, then he sat down, and then the rest of the scene persists because it was part of the.
If it was real, he would have got up and left. Or you remember the guy at the I forgot what meeting it was, but it was like a liberal meeting or not a liberal meeting, a progressive meeting, and they all kept. He was like, "Can you guys please not clap? We're gonna snap here." And and they spent all day going over pronouns and shit like that. And one guy was like, "Hey, I have to go. Can we actually talk about something?"
And that's kind of the issue with.
But that. Yeah,
it's semantics. You get stuck in the semantics.
That's
that's
it's
weird
the semantics, and when you start turning things into a spectrum, which is weird though, because like, depending on how logical you are in the situation, like the science says one or the other with a micro chance of variability, which is the 1 out of 1,000 babies being born intersex. But like to take the time to like navigate and cut up, like I am a man, I was born in the body of a man but have the mind of a woman, and then define that, and then like you're just creating the spectrums of it and all that stuff. It makes it really complex.
It's
manipulative. I feel like it's too complex to the point to where it's like
it's lawyer talk.
Yeah, it makes it difficult to maneuver when you're just like, oh, dude, like I can't even just be the way I was and just accept it, and I have to define it, and then I have to like you have to define it, and then you have to tell others how it's defined and stuff like that.
Exactly, it's too much. It's too much, and it's just. And I'm not saying that these people's groups don't exist or these people's they shouldn't like. It has nothing to do with that. It actually just has more to do with understanding that it takes time for people to understand. So it's like you don't deserve to be mistreated in any type of way. That's off the table. But as far as the patience you need to exercise with people understanding,
becomes interactions, blah blah blah.
That has to be there, because honestly speaking, you guys don't fully understand, because when you talk to them, it's different. It's differing answers. Like
it's not a consistent.
It's not a consistent answer. And so, like, if you guys don't have a consistent answer and you're telling us it's a spectrum and you actually know what the word spectrum means, people not from that background deserve the patience to understand, as long as they're not being, ignorant or abusive.
I mean, if we were never aware of the spectrum, we become aware. There's going to be the
learning curve.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I get it. I'm not saying that you should take a single letter off of here. I do think some of these letters umbrella each other.
I'm about to say redundant.
Yeah, so like.
Yeah, I think that's actually part of the thing too that eventually the community will come across, because like I mean I see myself as an ally. Like I've put myself in situations where I interact deliberately with people a part of this group, and just so that I could experience to be like, all right, let me see what you think. Like, why do you think that way? Like, to me,
no, I feel like everyone's an ally. Like I don't know. I just like John said. Like I got nothing wrong with it. Like yeah, be who you want to be. I got nothing against you. You want to live. Like you want to do this, do it. Like go for it. I just like you said, when it comes to the interactions, it gets confusing sometimes because a lot of the answers and terminology just hasn't been consistent. So that's why for me this discussion's been hard, because I don't know how I can converse without being insulting, because I just got questions.
Hey, I have a question. It was just LGBT for the longest, right?
LGBTQ. That's the way I always memorized it.
But
honestly, I think
LGBT.
Q could just summarize it all.
I remember LGBT. When did can we find out when the Q got added? Because the I and A did not go through the same waiting period that the Q went through. I think they fast tracked the I and the A and the plus. Officially adds Q to the. Okay.
What community or like what?
Like who's in charge of this?
Yeah. What committee?
2016. I feel like this happened a while. Like I feel like it's always. Well, I take that back. I feel like it's always been LGBT
culturally, but what does officially mean?
What's GLAAD?
Oh, they're I guess they're the major advocacy group for those type of things, and so they added the Q.
But so what? No,
in 2016.
No. What does queer even mean now? No, I'm confused.
Questioning.
Queer means awkward. Like like the direct
Questioning.
term, it means awkward, and so you can actually use it. And there's a book I read
You're
where
right. Doesn't that cover everything else?
Yeah, it
yeah,
covers
So
everything.
you can cover everything with queer.
That's why Dave Chappelle said queer guys at the car. He's like, I'll fuck everybody in here. Okay.
There's a book I read where the guy goes off into the future, and when he comes back, like he travels through portals, and as he travels through the portals, he every time he goes through it, he jumps like 20 years. So he like one in one way and one in the out direction. Like he's already jumped 40 years. So he does it so much that like the Earth changes every time he comes back to it. And at one point, everybody's gay, and he left when everybody was straight. And then he the reason why everybody turned gay is because um, overpopulation was a huge problem. So they reprogrammed all of humanity. Like humanity itself decided we need to go gay so that we can not overpopulate the planet to kill it. And so when he comes back, everybody that he's with is gay, and they look at him like the weird guy, and so he calls himself old queer, and that's like the moniker that all the gay people have. But then later on, they do it some more, like they keep jumping through cycles, and then everybody turns into a clone, and they're all just like one dude, and then all the gay people that are with him are just like, yeah, this is fucking weird. So eventually, everyone starts to get to a limit of progression where it just gets too fucking weird for everybody. But
That's dope.
with this, that was kind of the thing where I was thinking about, and like I said, like I've put myself out there to try to meet people in the community to try to understand them, and I've I feel like I gotten pretty far, but at some point I also came to the conclusion that at some point I have to draw a line where I'm just like, yeah, I'm not gonna accept just keep throwing up letters, keep throwing up, making up like certain decisions where I'm just like, yeah, this is nonsensical after a point. Like it's redundant in some letters, and it it just garners more confusion than anything as opposed to understanding.
And it's hard
So
to navigate in confusion.
yeah, exactly. Um, so just kind of learning how to deal with the people without thinking of like the eggshells that I have to avoid and stuff like that makes it really difficult. And the other thing too is like making the majority accommodate you, I think is also a big issue. Like
Dude,
I
we've only recently
definitely
become accepting of this stuff. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say what, like early mid 2000s, or was it like when I say early mid 2000s, I mean like 2000 to 2005, or is that too early?
I don't know, man, cuz to me I feel like there was like I never had an issue with it, so I never looked around and was like, "Oh, this is cool to do now." Like I've never kind of felt that. Um, the only thing that I've recently started to feel is just like, whoa, like we're making like everybody change, and this isn't like for like just basic human rights. Like no, like we're making everybody change for accommodation, like pure accommodation. Like you want me just to make you a nice dinner every night, like you know what I mean? This isn't like oh, like I'm you're only asking for food, like you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that,
you're
at
asking
least
for a
that's how
lot.
I feel. Like with once it
Yeah, you're
gets to the
absolutely right.
like the later letters past like the transsexual and stuff like that, I'm just like, dude, at this point you're asking me to give more than what you just want respectively as just human rights. You're asking
Dude,
me
I
to
got
actually
lost
start to
after the
lower down to
Q.
you.
I had to look up every letter after T. Every letter after T I had to look up. That's
Yeah.
how confusing for
No,
me
I
it
knew.
got.
I got the cue. I got the cue. But I googled it earlier, so I don't know if that helps. But I actually just wanted to get a firm understanding of what each
I
meant.
think our firm understanding is just call everything queer and just leave it at that.
That's
And be
it.
like, you're queer. You make your decision, whatever you do behind closed doors, or however you want me to. You tell me how to talk to you. We'll go from there. But in my mind, queer.
But
That's
I'll
the
tell you
one word.
this.
Simple.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
this, Doc. I had a history teacher named Mr. Kosis, and I used to do this thing on his test, and I aced his class. But I would do this funny thing where I didn't know the answer, where he would ask a question, and if it was a timed question, I would put before or after something. So if he was like, "Oh, when did this happen?" I'd be like, "Before the Civil War," which would technically be right, but it wasn't the technically the like what he was asking for. But he didn't word his question and say what year. He said, "When did this happen?" Like so before this. So he let me off with it sometimes. But I'll tell you what, towards the end of the year, I got all of it. He started counting all of them against me. So I tell you that to say this: We can umbrella it with queer all we like. They might not like that shit. They might let us get away with it sometimes, but other times
But that's
might
the
count
dude
against us.
that I feel like that's the worst way to kind of deal with it, man. Like, because at that point,
Everybody's
then
queer.
that's everyone's ego coming in, and like it's like you said, the lawyering comes in, and it's like you didn't say it the right way, you didn't do it this way, and this
Exactly.
is now you're
But
gonna
they
have
are
to be
lawyers
punished
now.
or X whatever, and it's just like, dude, really, like, what?
The new vegans. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching a clip of Fake Deep Thinking. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe, like the clip, leave a comment, and check out our page for more content. Full episodes of Fake Deep Thinking are released every Friday on Podbean, iTunes, and Spotify. Check it out.